Yo, what's poppin' on, guys? It's your boy Offline Nuzlocke, and welcome to the ZDA NFE Draft League Draft Analysis. If you guys don't know, I have my own draft league called ZDA, and we are doing a NFE division. So, hope you guys are excited. I'm here in call with Meta. Say hi, bro.
Yo.
But
I'm not in the NFE division.
yeah, he's not in the NFE division because he's scared of fighting me and Puff and Crep and all the great battlers. But just to give you guys a quick recap, so we had to draft 9 Pokemon. 2 of them had to be Terra Captains. This wasn't a point draft, it was a tier draft instead. So you had to pick 1 S tier Pokemon, 2 A tiers, 2 B tiers, 2 C tiers, and 2 D tier Pokemon. And this is open terrace with Terra Preview on Wi-Fi. So you can pick 2 Terra Captains from the C tier, and you tell your opponent what Terra types you're bringing on any of them. If you do bring them to the game, or you can pick 1 B tier and pair it with a D tier Terra Pokemon. So there was a lot of options. We have 12 coaches, I believe, for this season.
Yep.
And it's going to be a 6-week season, so a little bit shorter of a season, but everybody was okay with it, so we're gonna roll with it. And this will transition us to Pokemon Legends ZA, so I think it's gonna be a great time. Hope you guys are excited, and yeah, let's get into the recap.
Let's run it.
So first and foremost, I wanted round 1 Terra Hakamo because apparently we allowed it. I was very against it, and so was Meta. But then people were like, let's run it. So I was like, all right, let's run it. I'll let it in, and I'm going to pick it up round 1 because I knew I was going to play with it. One problem. Crep is literally right in front of me, and she loves her Crep mons. So Hakamo got sniped. I was sad, on the floor, in the rain.
Yeah.
And I said I don't want to play anymore. So with that, I was like, all right. I mean, I can take my S tier, but I also kind of want Tinkatink or Tinkatuff and see, try to get a good core starting up. I was asking Meta, what do you think? Should I pick an S tier Pokemon, or should I, get my Fairy Steel type, which is a good roll compression Pokemon in terms of this draft league? Because NFE, there's limited options in terms of Fairy types and Steel types, so it would be a great round 1 pick. A lot of back and forth happened, and I ended up asking my sister between a Ghost and a Hammer, and she said Water. So round 1 Dewpider it is, guys. Introducing Meta the Dewpider. We're running it back with the round 1 Dewpider. Meta was very happy with this, but it is a great Pokemon. It's a C tier mon, so we're starting on the back foot a little bit in terms of the drafting. But it gives me access to Sticky Webs. I can run some Mirror Coat sets if I wanted to, and Water Bubble is just good in terms of spamming Liquidation or Hydro Pumps. And I'm not afraid of running Specs Hydro Pump at all, so my opponents are going to have to prep for things like that. But round 1 pick being Dewpider is kind of nutty. Meta did it, but he couldn't get the kills. I might try to get the kills. I'm not too decided on it. All right.
Hold on. You got inspired by me because if y'all have tuned into the Watch Together streams of the ODL, I picked up round 1 Dewpider. Alphonse like, oh, Meta is so cool. Let me just copy him. So that's why you have round 1 Dewpider here.
Yeah, it was more of inting than copying Meta, but we'll let him be happy on that one. But I think Dewpider is a great round 1. I mean, this is an NFE league. We're gonna try our hardest to bring some awesome games and awesome sets, but at the end of the day, it's not crazy hardcore Pokemon. So we'll have some fun with the mons, and that's what we kept in mind while drafting. So hopefully guys are excited for this. Moving on to round 2 pick. We got Splim, the Shelpin, the Splim, the Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
um, the meta. You want to talk about Hunter a little bit?
Man, Haunter is goated. If y'all, again, if y'all watch together for the ODL, Adorian won, and his S tier was Haunter, right? And Haunter really showed its worth there. Ghost spam is usually good into teams, and especially in this format where not a lot can deal with it. Haunter goes crazy, has a lot of good coverage. You got, your choice scarf and specs with trick. You got sash sets, and you can even run some cool things like Destiny Bond as well. So it's a great, strong S tier.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to talk about Haunter. So the reason why we grabbed Haunter and S tier and this early was because like with Dewpider now we would need to think about speed, and most of the speed was gone by this point. Like Electabuzz was gone. Some of the speedier Pokemon like Sneasels, both of them were gone. Obviously, round one picks. So it was a little bit challenging to figure out our speed, and obviously we have sticky webs, and Hunter is just a great scarf Pokemon, so it can outpace the whole meta game as long as the Sneasels and stuff are not scarf. So it is a pretty good speed mon. Pairs well with Dewpider. We can spin block some weeks if need be, but this mon just comes in and takes one most of the time, as we saw from ODL. So I was pretty excited to use Haunter. The moment I said to Adorian that we're picking up Haunter, bro was like, all right, that's fun. And it also has some niche, like Nasty Plot, resist berry sets that we might utilize this season. So it is a cool Pokemon. I'm excited to try it, but a good round to pick. All right, for round three, we decided to dabble our foot on B tier because at this point, most of the A tiers that I really wanted were gone. So I said, why not just build around Haunter and Dewpider? And Morgrem does just that. We got Sean the Morgrem here, and this is a fantastic Pokemon. You might see a theme here with Adorian's team last season. Like we have Morgrem and Haunter pairing. Morgan was still on the board. I needed a fairy type, and it provides me a prankster user, which could be really nice in this metagame because there's not that many dark types roaming around. With open Terra preview, obviously, it gets a little bit more challenging, but Morgrem still has the abilities besides prankster that could be also very useful. And the prankster shenanigans in NFE works really well if utilized correctly. So Morgrem seemed like a good round three pick to start building around some of the offensive pieces in Dewpider.
And a good thing about Morgrem as well is it's very flexible on this team. Like, yeah, you can expect the prankster screens, the prankster parting shot, and T-Wave. But Morgrem also doesn't just have prankster as frisk, so you can scout out what items the opponent might have, which could be useful. And pickpocket as well, where if like you have no item, you can steal your opponent's item. So that's pretty cool. Maybe steal like an Eviolite or something. And Morgrem has like base 70 speed, so it's already relatively fast in this format. So it's not unreasonable to bring those other abilities over Prankster some weeks.
Yeah, and it also provides us with a good Eviolite Pokemon. Like it's not the bulkiest in the metagame, but with the Eviolite, its bulk is very respectable, especially in NFE, because you might live one of those hits and get a prankster move off, or maybe disrupt your opponent from doing something. So Morgrem really rounding out, starting the defensive core for this team. Up next, we got Monkey. I mean, if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know I love this evolution line. Chimchar is one of my favorites, and it's a B tier Pokemon, and it was still on the board. I'm like, how do I not pick up Monferno? Monferno just provides a lot more offensive output to the team. I can run choice sets, I can run Eviolite bulky sets. It does a lot of things, especially in this meta. We have Mach Punch, Stealth Rock Knock, Thorzan, so that's just like a few of the moves that like, gives you an idea of how vast the moveset is for Monferno, especially with Iron Fist. Like, some of those moves get boosted up, and this Mon becomes a threat. And this is one of our Terror captains for the team, so opponents are really going to have to think about what kind of Monferno comes every week and prep around it, because you have a Haunter to deal with, you have Morgrim, and you add priority and a really good setup sweeper. It is hard to prepare for. So Monferno just provides overall a really good role compression to round out the team basically on whatever I want to run that week. Alright, up next we got Corvusquire. This is the first Pokemon that we picked from the C tier. So I have my S tier picked. I guess it's the second Pokemon from C tier. I have my S tier picked, 2 of the B tiers are taken, and this is my second C tier. So we're completely avoiding A tiers at this point because most of the teams have taken their A tier mons, and I basically have an idea of what I'm going to draft for my A tier. So we just did not look at A tiers at this point. Like, there was a potential for getting sniped, but I was happy with the 2 mons, some of the mons that are left in A tier that we could build around. So we ended up grabbing Corvusquire from C tier, and this Pokemon is pure flying, so it's pretty nice, and it really can utilize Eviolite very well. But there is also other sets that you can run, like Boots or Scarf or Banded. It is pretty flexible in that, but main thing that Corvusquire provides us on this team is a defog. We don't have any removal yet, and defog is pretty good. It also has taunt and U-turn, so it can literally provide us with momentum in battles that we needed, and allows some of our offensive threats to come in and just do a lot of damage. So Corvusquire bringing a lot to the table in terms of the defensive capabilities, as well as some of the offense that we might need some weeks.
Oh, sorry, my mic was bugging a bit. Corvusquire is great. It gives us a pretty reliable removal option. Granted, like defog, ideally we don't want to defog our own webs and rocks, but if our opponent decides to, really want to hazard stack us and we're not bringing like those hazards, it's still really good in removing them. It's a good bulky pivot as well with U-turns, and there's some niche moves it has as well.
Yeah, and as well as, like, so far the team is shaping a little bit like a hyper offensive team, so it could provide a lot of utility to get that momentum, as well as its ability Unnerve is really good in this meta game, because a lot of Pokemon want to run that resist berries, and it just stops them from doing so. And if I potentially get T-Spikes down the line, and Mons are preparing a Lumberry for a set of variant, this just straight up stops that Lumberry proc and allows me to gain some momentum during the battle, forcing the opponent to switch out. So it's
even like citrus berries, resist berries as well, right?
Exactly.
Helps with all that.
So a nice ending to our C tier. Dewpider and Corvusquire are pretty good there. Up next, we decided to dabble a little bit into the D tier, and our first pick in D tier is Alolan Sandshrew, aka Frosty the Snowman. I know Meta loves this name. He recommended it to me.
I did not. I did not.
Alolan Sandshrew is our second Terra captain in Open Terra, and that's mainly because it is a decent typing, but it doesn't want to stay that typing most of the times. So it just felt right to Terra this Pokemon. It gives us Rapid Spin, Knock, Triple Axle, Ice Shard, and some of the other niche moves. Also can be a Rock Setter. So this Pokemon, the idea is like it's pretty defensive in terms of taking hits, especially with the Eviolite. But it also gives us a decent Pokemon to play around in opponents' teams. Some weeks it might Terra and maybe do some breaking. I don't know. It's reliable in some aspects and can spin pretty easily on a lot of the mons in this meta game.
Another good thing like about Sandshrew Couple things, right? First off, I don't know if we mentioned this, but compared to the ODL, we have a list of added Pokemon that we added. Sandshrew was one of them. Sandshrew. Um, yeah, I mean that 90 base defense is pretty strong in this format. Yes, it has like 35 base speed F, but with Terra and you're isolating that like Fizz-Def stat, it can be a really good Fizz-Def wall. With Terra Ghost, it can give us a pretty solid spin blocker on our team, so we can get our webs up and rocks up and keep them there a bit more reliably. Um, and also has just good support, knockoff to remove Eviolites, Super Fang, in case, Sandshrews not doing enough output, you can just chip things down, in half. And there's also like more niche moves it gets, but yeah, it can also run some more, offensive sets with sword stance potentially. So we'll see.
Yeah, and worse come worse, we can just run funny endeavor sets. So um,
Sure.
it's a Pokemon that can be utilized pretty well if used correctly. And out of D tier Pokemon, I mean, there isn't too much that stood out to us, especially on this team. So Sandshrew seemed like a decent Terra captain to pair with some of the other mons that we're gonna pick up from A tier. All right, up next is our second D tier Pokemon. It's Buzzer the Vibrava, holding that blunder policy. Meta, you wanna talk about this Pokemon?
Yeah, so I did draft Vibrava as well as my D tier. A lot of people were saying like, man, that mon kind of sucks, right? And I mean, it's a D tier, of course it sucks. But out of all the D tiers, it's actually probably up there, right? Versus like Adoring, who's I brought Blunder Policy Vibrava, and that kind of cooked him. I brought, stuff like Choice Band Vibrava, which did all right, and even Throat Spray. So this thing surprisingly uh, can do some stuff. Like it has 70 base speed, which is a pretty good middling speed stat. Um, but the main thing that really makes it stand out is just a lot of the coverage it gets with stuff outside of its like dragon and ground coverage. It gets, boom burst for like throat spray sets, air slash, first impression for priority, heat wave, etc. Into another rocker for the team, pivot with U-turn. Um, it can do all right for a D tier. It'll probably come once or twice and maybe do something, right? But that's all you really need it to do.
Yeah,
And can be both physical and special here, so it's all right.
yeah, and it also gives us a ground immunity. Obviously Hunter has that ground immunity, and I'm not really weak to ground here, but it's always nice to be able to have a ground immunity in some games where there's an offensive ground type that's just spamming Earthquake, and Vibrava can come in pretty easily and deal with that. Um, as Meta said,
More
it's
importantly, it gives us also a ground type.
that too.
Gives
That
us a
too.
ground type too.
Yeah, we can
right?
also spam that Earthquake. Um, but yeah, as Meta said, like it's a D tier that is probably pretty high up there. In my opinion, like the best D tiers that were available is like Duat and maybe like Laffy if you Terra it. But like those really did not fit the team that we were trying to shape. So I think Vibrava was definitely one of the next best options and gives us the ground and the dragon typing that we did not have on this team. So and we're not really weak to ice either, so it's a pretty good mon that fits in pretty decently here. All right, up next, we can finally grab the A tiers because at this point, nobody can snipe us, and it's been like that for a pretty long time, especially with the round one Dewpider pick. And the reason why we were able to do that is because I got my usual curse of being almost in the middle, basically the middle of the draft. And that kind of helped out me in drafting this case. I don't know if Meta thinks similarly, but I think like getting sniped on Terra Hakamo and then picking round one Dewpider just let me be ahead of the curve by one stage to where I was able to delay my A tiers and not worry about getting them and could grab all the B, C's that I needed before finally grabbing my A tier. So let's talk about a Dorian's pet here. So we decided to adopt a deer who was a Dorian's pet on this team. It's Stantler. It's a great Evilite Pokemon. Gives us a normal type to pair with Haunter here. And it is really good. I'm surprised that it flew under so many radars throughout the draft because it gives you Intimidate, Frisk, and Sapsiper, 3 insane abilities with decent defensive backbone, and has a lot of utility in terms of the moves that Meta is going to talk about here in a little bit. But I was so surprised that it lasted for so long and not being able to not being drafted. Even in ODL season 1 it went undrafted, and I was super surprised by it because I mean, sure, A tier has a bunch of threats, but this Pokemon is a really good defensive Pokemon that could be utilized well if you know what you're doing with it. So Meta, you wanna talk about some of the moves and how you can use it well?
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Like, first off, like you left your A tiers till the end, and both of your A tiers are still really good. The fact that Stantler was left on the board is incredible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it helps with ghost, like if there's, opposing ghost types trying to target down Haunter, Stantler does it really well. I mean, it has good solid bulk. 85 speed is like an above average speed in this format, which is pretty good. And it's just very flexible, right? It's that's what like a lot of these members kind of are. Stuff like Monferno and Morgram and even Stantler are just very flexible, which is good since your opponent can't predict it as easily. But stuff like setup, it gets Calm Mind, right? And agility for speed. Trailblaze for also speed, but attacking instead. Curse even to set up physical attack and defense. And can even pair all that with like stored power. It gets phasing with Roar. It can be dual screens. It gets a signature move in Side Shield Bash that will always raise its defense by 1. Like, and it gets still stabbed like Body Slam and Earthquake. Like, this Mon can be special, physical, bulky, support. It can really fit into whatever role that the team you bring in that week does, right? So it's a really strong pick.
Yeah, and like pairing the moves with the abilities, I feel like makes Stantler that A tier that we have it at. I'm surprised we got it this late, because this was one of the Pokemon I thought would get picked up on some of the other teams, but it did not. It flew under the radar, and I'm really happy about it because I think we need to show what Stantler does here in this league. So a pretty fun pickup here. Up next, the flex last pick, we have Hikari the Frogadier. This Mon was not picked in the first 3 rounds. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Because if you guys don't know, Frogadier obviously still not getting Water Shuriken here, but it's a protein Pokemon with a really good speed tier in 97. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But
yeah, it is.
It gets a lot of utility moves. You can hazard stack with spikes and T-spikes. You can taunt opposing hazard setters. You can U-turn for momentum. You can surf Ice Beam for coverage, and it can be physical or special in terms of using acrobatics, liquidation, and whatnot, or spamming surf and Ice Beam. Like, this Mon is really flexible for an A tier. I'm surprised that it didn't get picked up at all. So I wanted to flex with it last round. But
and speed with it as well. Like, yes, it is 97, and our only speed before that was Haunter at 95. So getting another Mon that's up there, it's a really good Scarf Pokemon. It can be choiced in pretty much anything and give away its choice item with Switcheroo. You have spikes and T-spikes, right? Who cares about Water Shuriken when you have, Protein Quick Attack, right? And like, yeah, it's just it's another just strong, do some damage pivot, could be a support pivot, and maybe even bring some Swords Dance sets.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, does
Sometime.
it get Sword Stance? Because we could literally
Oh,
go
yeah.
Resist Bit or Citrus Berry Sword Stance with Acrobatics and just blow through entire teams and then just quick attack on
Yeah,
teams
we
that
can
don't
do
have
like
ghost
you set
types.
up Swords Dance 6 times, set up Swords Dance 6 times, and click U-turn. That's what we're going to do.
But yeah, Frogadier really providing that final speed that could be useful, at least in this format. Like my top speed Pokemon are very flexible in rocking Scarf sets, and if they don't want it at some point, they can just trick it to defensive Pokemon like Waluigi and whatnot. So it's a really cool team. I think I really like this team overall. Um, Being like very middle, I feel like this team shaped out very well. We covered most of our bases here. Haunter, Dewpider, Morgrim, Monferno, Corvusquire, um, Sandshrew, Vibrava, Stantler, and Frogadier. Like, I really think this is like a really cool team that we were able to build from the position that we ended up in.
Yeah, this team kind of ended up being like, take a Dorian's ODL team, Pup's ODL team, and my ODL team, and kind of mesh them together, and this is what you end up with.
Yeah, and don't forget Cat's signature Frogadier that led every single week, with a couple new mons that I wanted to try out. So I
Yeah.
think we have a pretty cool team in terms of NFE. Hopefully, guys are excited for the season to start, because I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're facing Pup week 1. So hopefully, you guys are
Mhm.
excited for that first week rival match, basically. Um, so yeah.
And it's going to be a crazy match. And the thing is, Pup, similar to Offline, was also inspired by me. Pup drafted like a third of my draft. He just really loves me, and I appreciate that. So
With that, we're gonna end the video right there. Hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel to keep in touch with all the draft uploads. They will be going up periodically on the channel. I think my plan is to upload the ZDA officially on Sundays, and keep an eye out for another draft league starting along with ZDA. But that is all we have for today. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, Offline Squad.
see ya.